Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Popcorn Planet where we're going full spoiler on the Spidey Man. That's right, Spider-Man. That's right. If you haven't seen Far From Home and you don't want spoilers, now is your warning. Tune out because we are just going to unravel it all. People are already doing it. Man, people just can't wait to spoil movies. I haven't yet. Now we're doing it. It's 4th of July, so let's go from our independence of spoilers. Hey, everybody, brought everybody back. Man, that was a really exciting night last night. Thanks for staying over, guys.
Man, great.
Ooh, man, Zaid, you're a big snorer.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm trying to lose weight, bro.
No, we pre-taped this immediately afterwards so I could have my holiday off, and because I knew Spider-Man spoiler episode is an important one, so we're gonna get right back into it. Far From Home. My review, I was into it, but I was indifferent. But I loved seeing Jonah Jameson back.
Oh.
My God, that was just such a fun thing. J.K. Simmons there. I mean, I don't remember a theater losing their mind more than I did that. So let's start there. Was that the best moment for anybody else? That was my favorite moment. Did you guys love that too?
That was
I lost my mind too, man. I 100% agree. That was the best moment of the movie.
And I love that they made him some sort of Alex Jones, InfoWars version of that was really kind of interesting. I want to see that. That was my problem. I want to see that movie more because I want to see Spider-Man in New York swinging around, and I feel like when they tease us the end and we finally see him swinging through and holding MJ and all that, and then J.K. Simmons comes. I'm like, whoa, where's this Spider-Man movie? And I don't care about this European vacation episode. But what did you guys think?
I actually, we were talking about the pre-credits.
That was a whole. Wow, you really committed to that guy.
Did you continuing?
Nothing
did you
like
the J.K. Simmons reveal?
I loved it. I love the fact that they didn't want to make it too campy with his style, the look, but the fact that he is J. Jonah. In my eyes. So it's there are certain people that when they hit a role, that's the person you envision and that's the voice you hear. And that was fantastic.
And he won an Oscar in between and came back to do it again, so bravo to him.
Right. Well, I feel like he loves that character.
Yeah.
And that's why he would want to do it. And then the fact that was the moment that they chose to bring him in, that spoiler, you're going to have a bombshell. This is Peter Parker, and then poof, and then he shows up. And I'm like, yes.
Right, but can we say one thing? So it's a bit weird that we're talking about the best part of the movie, so quote unquote, the best part of the movie being a post-credit scene.
Yes.
Does that mean the movie was kind of terrible?
Well, what did you think?
However, though,
I don't think so.
For the people, because the other day, we watched the Avengers, me and my wife, and there was people that left. This was the bonus Avengers, the bonus content. People left before, and I'm thinking, well, then why the hell did they come?
They probably just didn't even know. They're not a nerd like you.
So my point being is that, and people that are in normal viewings of this movie, like this weekend and so on, they could miss this. And what I mean by that is that this, if you don't see this mid-credit scene, it's a different movie, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's a completely different movie, 100%. And what I mean by that, this mid-credit scene, I hate to use this analogy because it's too much to a degree, but it's essentially like an Empire Strikes Back. And what I mean by that is at the end of it, because the way the movie ends is very happy, right? He saves the day, blah 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 blah. Okay, the mid-credit scene starts as happy, they're is a diet. MJ is
I get what you're saying, but you're wrong because they're gonna sum it all up in part 3. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get.
Sure, but
part 3 is gonna start with J. Jonah Jameson recapping what happened at the end of 2, and you don't really need to see. I mean, it doesn't. What changed it for me more?
No. It's not about J. Jonah Jameson. It's about his identity review because it's a big thing in Spider-Man comics.
That's teasing part 3.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's also this is such a negative thing for him personally as a character, and if anyone who's read comics and
that happens way late too, right?
Yeah, but
you're talking about Peter Parker being
the reveal of Peter Parker doesn't happen for a really long time.
I mean, it depends on which version you're talking about.
But let's not get into that. But the point is, it comes from a.
That's your point.
That is my wheelhouse.
Oh my God, you're taking forever to say it. What's your point?
Wait, but I'm saying because it comes from a positive ending to a negative one because he has to deal with that now my identity reveal, the whole crux of my character, now it's everything's flipped on its head.
It's just a new chapter. It's a new chapter and adventure. To me, it was a tease of here's what part 3 is. I don't think it changes 2. 2 is the story, and then 3 they were teasing at the end. What changes the story is the introduction of S.W.O.R.D. and them, because I sat there in the now we're only talking about the credits really, but I sat there through all the whole credits and I just was complaining to everyone around me. I was like, how the hell did they make Nick Fury so dumb? Captain Marvel started, and they made Nick Fury an idiot, and now this whole freaking movie, like, what? He had no idea what was going on. He just believes this guy, and he's just like, whatever, It just made no sense. I was so angry the whole movie of how stupid Nick Fury was, and then that last credit with Talos admitting he was playing Nick Fury, I was like, oh, okay, someone smart watched this, was like, dude, that makes no sense. You got to do it. But then I was more frustrated because I was like, that doesn't make any sense. How would he have really known all of that information? Like, those of you who watched it again.
I did.
Did it? Because I'm going to go to you first. Did it make more sense when you watched it again?
Second, that's what I was going to say. If you watch it the second time, you'll see the small little nuances. It's like, okay, cool, now I'm seeing it.
But did you notice the dumb Nick Fury in the first draft? And then when that happened, did you watch him again carefully in the second version?
No, I didn't really.
That didn't bother you?
No, that didn't bother me.
Well, for me, Nick Fury was comedic. When has he ever been comedic?
A lot of times.
For me, at least, like, when I was watching it, I thought, like, why is he being comedic? This is a little bit strange. But I thought, okay, I put it off as just being a Marvel film. They're doing something else. But then when the Skrull came out, I was like, oh. So now, because as a comic book reader, I was like, oh, he's doing S.W.O.R.D. Why would he send his best friend, or not best friend, but people he has a working relationship with, the Skrulls, like, yo, you do the Earth shit, let me handle Thanos threats.
See, for those who don't know, hold on, let's get for those who don't know, S.W.O.R.D is S.W.O.R.D. If you didn't understand, that very final scene is implying, they don't really say it, but it's implying that Nick Fury is now doing some version of S.W.O.R.D. And S.W.O.R.D is like the intergalactic shield. Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah, it's shield in space.
Yeah.
Now, I only watched the movie once, but I watched it fresh just last night. And honestly, I saw the nuances that you're talking about, like, first, like, early. And when I was watching it, I was like, I mentioned it before, like, Captain Marvel, when Peter Parker mentions it, he's like, what about Captain Marvel? And he goes, do not invoke her name. I'm like, hey.
Yes.
I'm like, I froze. I'm like, that's not Nick.
Yeah.
And like, it's not the way he talks.
Yeah. There was a lot of
it's
that.
not the way he acts.
And
like such resentment towards Captain Marvel. And you could tell. And then as the movie progressed, like even Maria Hill.
Yeah,
like when
that's what I was about to say.
He's like,
yeah.
I didn't trust him in the first place, and she goes,
no, you didn't.
He totally trusted.
When would Maria Hill ever say that to her superior?
Exactly.
Never.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And as soon as she would, he would smack this shit down on her. Like,
excuse me.
Like just talk her down.
Mm-hmm.
But she wouldn't get a chance.
Yeah.
And all that made sense when the Skrulls showed up. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they were amateur.
And then
it was amateur hour.
But the funny thing was, like, my first thought before S.W.O.R.D was Secret Invasion. Because as soon as I saw them, I'm like, "Ooh, what are they gonna do? Secret Invasion?" And then I saw Nick on the beach and whatnot. I'm like, "Oh, it's S.W.O.R.D."
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Here's the only thing that was missing in that credit scene for me, because it was that was a big hang up for me, and it is annoying. As you said, and we should get to this. What about the movie? But we're talking spoilers, and I think now it's so nice to finally have these conversations. But what was annoying to me more is I wanted Nick to make some sort of line like, "Yeah, this was not a real big threat." Like I wanted him to know that Mysterio was full of shit. I wanted him to know that the world was never really that much in danger. I wanted him to know it all, and he was just sort of sending Talos down to like sort of, yeah, we just needed Peter to do something. Like because that really would make more sense for the whole movie. Like where come on, where was Captain America? There's literally a point.
Here's the funny thing.
Wait, let me just finish it. There's literally a point where he's like, he's gonna destroy the Earth's core, and then we're dead. And then Nick Fury sitting there like, oh well, like hello, you would call somebody.
Yeah.
Like there's Captain Britain or somebody. Let's introduce him. Or like there are opportunities if you're gonna go that level of a threat. This Marvel world is starting to crack for me because I'm like, it makes no sense if the core of the Earth's about to destroy. That's at Thanos level. Like you gotta call in the biggest guns you got. Ant-Man, I don't care. You gotta have some other people on your phone to be able to call. It didn't make any friggin' sense. But if he had done that at the end, I would have given it full like, okay, now I get it. It was, but then my problem is that's how I felt about the whole movie. What was really important about this movie aside from Peter learning something and then he falling in love with MJ? Like, why were you guys so invested? People are saying this is better than Spider-Man 2. I think they're delusional. Why are people losing their mind over this? What do you think it is? Why do you guys enjoy it?
I mean, it's a fun movie. Like anytime you go in and you can say, I laughed and I enjoyed this movie. It had action. I didn't have to ponder or be pissed at this movie. That's a good movie.
But was it a Spider-Man movie?
Yes, absolutely. I thought there was a lot of scenes that were straight out the comics. Like that one scene when he distracted, like, hey, look, there's goats over there, and he jumped out and went, pew, That looked like it was straight out of the comics, man. And I enjoyed that. I love movies like that where it looks like I'm reading it off the page. That's why I thought it was like up there.
Well, for me, it wasn't really it wasn't so much a Spider-Man film as it was a Peter Parker movie.
film.
I agree.
And it developed Peter Parker more than it did Spider-Man for me. And that's what I really enjoyed about it outside of the credits. You know, with his relationship with MJ and, you know, with the classmates and all that stuff and him. But then, like, his dilemma of, like, okay, should I be a hero or should I be a kid, basically? Like, he's trying to figure out whether... And however, Spider-Man, like, real hardcore Spider-Man fans are going to get, like, butthurt because of how Iron Man is so intertwined with this version of Spider-Man. However, I always say, like, I said to my wife about Mysterio how he's so intertwined with Tony Stark, and like it just makes sense for this universe.
Yeah.
So like I understand.
He's
like,
a new Uncle Ben.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, but I understand like some Spider-Man, the hardcore Spider-Man fans are like he needs to be more neighborly. Why the hell is he in Europe? But it again, Elseworlds. Let's have a fun time with this, and it works for the universe that you've created, for the sandbox that the MCU has created. This all makes sense. It all fits. And the retcons they did with Jake Gyllenhaal in the backstage during the Civil War scene, brilliant writing for that. Of course, if you know the comics, you know Mysterio. He's lying. You know, you knew it was a trailer. You knew it.
Yeah.
Although they did brilliant marketing with teasing us with the multiverse because we were all thinking because of Doctor Strange and all that
shit.
We were like,
we did.
The multiverse is here, motherfuckers.
He could be a hero.
We all had our theories.
He could be, but they teased us with that. It was fantastic marketing, but we knew he was lying. But they still did it in such a way that was like, that's clever, that's smart. I agree. I see that. Okay, I'm good with that. The drones, it all connects. However, again, I understand the gripes that hardcore Spider-Man fans will have with the lack of not being in New York, of the smaller scale, that this was big scale and all this stuff. I get it, but let's not forget that scene in the abandoned warehouse was trippy. It was more trippy than Doctor Strange, and
that was awesome.
And I knew it was gonna be. I thought maybe we would have a trippy scene, but like that was mind blowing. That was fantastic. And Jake is a treasure.
Can I comment one thing you said about the New York thing? That was one thing I didn't like about this movie because I'm with Andy when he said I love my Spider-Man in New York, and that last scene when he was flipping around in New York was one of my favorite visual scenes. Do you think this movie could have worked if they stayed in New York? Like, what was different? What made it different?
Yeah, they could have visited the Empire State Building or
exactly.
something.
What made this movie different?
It made no sense that trip was like moving around, and then 100%. they kept trying to make jokes about like, well, we got upgraded. It was like, no, this is so ridiculously
everything in this
too
movie
much.
could have stayed in New York. It would have been the same movie.
Sure, I mean, I never went on a high school trip like that, but I know other high school. I know the friends from college that did, and like
college trips. That's a college trip.
No. I knew college friends that did high school trips
really?
like that.
High school trips. Wow.
I knew one guy who did that, and I was like, wow.
Tell us in the comments. Did you go on a high school trip like that? Yes or no? Let's
I'm very fortunate. I've traveled to some of these places, and I've lived in some of these places. So that was like kind of nostalgic.
What a humble brag.
I'm just saying, like, it was fun for me. I
saw the world.
But it was exotic. But I want to get. You said something really interesting. Sorry, I'm not trying. I want to get because I want to keep us tighter. But the Mysterio thing, that was a big reveal.
Sure.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal did a good job. I liked. I felt I was watching the whole movie and I kept saying, "Oh, I don't want him to turn. I know it's about to happen. I like this. This is sad." But I don't. I didn't like how Peter Parker just like gave up everything so easily. Like I mean, I understand he's a teenager and he wants to do these things, but I don't know. There was a scene they cut out apparently of his to-do list where he was supposed to take down this crime syndicate and then do his homework and get the laundry, and it was supposed to set up the tone, and they cut it because they wanted to get him to Europe Fest. But I feel like the movie was missing that moment of seeing Spider-Man be Spider-Man before he went off to Europe and then wanted to shrug off his duties. It just didn't feel like Spider-Man to me, and it was off-putting for me, and then it just made me annoyed, and I was just like, come on, like you literally jumped. I said this in my review, but he literally jumped on a spaceship into space to die to save the world, and now like you're hearing the Earth's core is about to be destroyed, and you're like, well, I got this date with MJ. Like it just didn't. That's not how it's been, and it could have been, but it just didn't jive with me. But
I'll piggyback on this because we were talking about this earlier, and the fact of the matter is that was a flaw of the movie. You know, you're going into the movie, and he's just like, I'm ready to go, and like I'm ready to do this. It would have sold it better if they did focus on that part at the beginning. They show him coming in after the whole Endgame
Endgame.
war, witnessing his idol die literally for him.
Did you
Granted
say
forever.
Gabe died?
He did.
It died. Yes.
He did Wakanda eyes. He did.
But I've been drinking too. Anyways,
I'm just making sure
The-
my hearing's good.
but here's the thing: like he's dealing with that stress. He has
A teenager's dealing with that
and he's
stress.
a teenager.
Yeah.
This is
yeah.
why
And-
I disagree with you.
But
Like,
no,
That's why
like,
he needs time
listen
out.
to this. Listen to this. He is dealing with the stress of losing another idol. You know, on the piggyback of his first idol, his uncle. Then on top of that, he is basically being put on another mantle onto his back on top of the one that he had before. He has a stress, and that's the part you cut, is that he's been trying to take off all these lists, do things right, live up to this title. So he has stress. He has PTSD. He's emotionally fragile,
Yes,
which they
yes.
He definitely
just
has
dance on the fact that he's emotional
So
when they
how-
mention, like, are you going to be the new Iron Man? If you're a teenager dealing with all that, you just want to live your life. You want a vacation
Yes.
and
Can
be
I-
that
can I-
kid.
can I
Preach,
can I
preach. But you're going to piggyback, but I'm just to echo what you're saying. Amen. You said it right, and they went fun instead of addressing some of those serious things and giving us justification.
and he could
for
have done
and
it.
that
Like
what
you
didn't
could
sell me.
see he emotionally could do it.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Zaid. Sorry.
So what I was going to piggyback what you said. When I saw it for the second time, I realized it's not about Spider-Man as much as it is about Peter Parker. Actually, like how am I coping with this Spider-Man life that I'm really into deep now? Before it was fun.
Yes.
Now I was like, shit, it's a lot for me to take in. You know. Then, like you said, dealing with the death. That's a lot. So it was more about Peter and how he's going to do that. How he's going to deal with be Peter and Spider-Man at the same time. That was.
So you felt that better in the
Yeah,
second
exactly.
movie.
part, yeah.
And let's be honest, like if you're a true comic book fan of Spider-Man, it's not about the costume. It's about Peter Parker. You know, when he's in costume, he's still thinking about his everyday life. He's wanting to, be the hero, but everything in the back of his mind is about his family, is about Mary Jane, is about his daily work life. How is he going to survive? That is every issue, except for like one or two things that comes up. But that's pretty much what makes him Spider-Man, because he's still grounded so much.
Wait.
And they focus on that. But they didn't do that
But
here.
Adnan, I'm still confused. Like, how are we in a disagreement? Because like everything you just said, basically.
I'm not saying
like,
I disagree with you. I'm saying that's what's missing from the movie.
I think you guys are
Wait.
agreeing. I think we're all.
I think we're all sort of in agreement.
I think we're disagreeing a little bit what you said though. What your
Because
point
he
was?
said, Andy said something along the lines of like, he should be more of a hero because he's been to space, blah blah. He shouldn't have
So
struggled.
that-
Is that
exactly.
what you're saying?
Well,
Andy?
no, but he's saying that
That's what he's saying, yeah.
without the perspective of what they're missing from the movie.
Yes.
It's like that's how, the argument that if you're just
I'm
a person
saying-
that watching the movie, you're gonna be like, that's the flaw. That's what's missing.
Yeah.
Yes, there wasn't a moment where he was saving people, and there was all this stress in him that I don't think they did a good enough job explaining, and I don't think we saw him be Spider-Man before he was sort of just like, I want to go on a trip. He seemed like a lazy teenager.
Oh, so you wanted to see
and that's
the-
not his. That's not him. I know
So,
there's
Andy,
tension.
I think-
I know
so you
there's
wanted the scene of
stresses.
him being Spider-Man, and then like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right,
almost
I
like-
need to shut this down for a second because I've been
okay,
I'm
okay.
so into
The
this
movie
Spider-Man.
felt out of
I just
character.
lost
Yeah.
Iron Man. I'm going through PTSD. My God, I need to deal with it. They had moments where they tried, but it was too jokey and European vacation. And I love MJ. It just didn't flow with the seriousness of Endgame and everything for him to just be like, I'm gonna throw the Spider-Man suit away. He didn't. I would have believed it even more if he was like, you know what, I'm fed up with this. Like I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yes.
Like enough.
And they
There
did
was
that in the
no-
comics.
No more.
There was
Oh,
no
that would
real.
have been great.
That
for
would
the
have been.
comic book.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
throws it in the
they've
trash.
done that in the
Spider-Man
comics and
more,
whatnot. And then
Well, he tried because he was like, "Do I bring the suit or not?" That was the moment they did. Where it made it sort of jokey, and then Aunt May puts it in, and he's like, like there was no committing to like do I do this or not? And that was my problem of like it just was jokey. It was fun, as we said, and that's fine. But it just that's why I still am like I liked the movie. I'm
Yeah.
not actually didn't like the movie, but it just didn't. It's nowhere near Spider-Man 2 for me. I think Spider-Man 2 hits all that so much better. Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, all of it is just so much more intense. I think it's just a better journey. I think it's still the better film. So I'm torn. It's fun. I think fun is a good way to
I
do
would
it.
agree with you when it comes to comic book accuracy. Like, with Spider-Man wouldn't definitely not turn his back or like look for other situations to distract him to save the day. But this is a film and this is a young boy.
Yeah.
I think it was
He's a
pretty
boy.
accurate how he reacted when it came to the situations. I remember when I was in high school, I did not want to look at my problems. I wanted to look at everything to distract me from the stress of my life.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to do the damn lawn. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was pretty good. I really liked how he reacted to some situations
Like
where he felt he was
the
forced.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mean, and the fact that
When
it
you're
was
talking about
basically
the
happening
helmets.
right there in front of him, he'll jump in.
Yeah.
But he's trying to dodge it if it's not in front
Yes.
of him.
Exactly.
He was
that-
dodging a lot, which is to
exactly.
me where I was a little. But let's. So we're in, it's fine. I don't want to keep repeating myself.
Go ahead.
I
Yeah.
think we like, but Mysterio's shift. I think I just want to talk about that again. This idea of they really did shoehorn sort of like, oh no, he was there during Civil War, and it was B.A.R.F. and all this. They were figuring out ways to justify why it worked. They pulled in Peter Billingsley, Ralphie from Christmas Story,
Yeah.
from Iron Man 1, which I thought was
That
all
was
right.
awesome.
That was
Good
awesome.
pull.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But it's still that scene where he's like standing on the roof is like it gives the whole exposition of the movie. I wanted that scene to be really fun, and I was just annoyed by that machine. That scene,
which scene?
the scene where he
the
finally gives
bar?
his speech to all the people in the bar, and it was the exposition
breaking
scene.
I actually
down,
thought it was
He's
great.
revealing, but here's I'm explaining it all to you because you don't understand.
That was a little.
It was a little
Yeah,
too
it
heavy-handed
comes
for me.
down
to
It
that.
felt,
I agree.
it felt a little forced, and I was so excited for the reveal, and I was disappointed that he wasn't an alien. I understand they were connecting it to the MCU, but we just did that with Vulture and Michael
Yeah.
Keaton.
Vulture
We
did
already
a
had
little bit better.
we already had,
did.
and I think they did it better.
Yeah.
It was already disgruntled Tony Stark employee. This idea of the no multiverse is still bothering me, and we could still say there might be is one, but what a stupid! It just to me it was just a letdown because it was like. I would have been so much cooler if Mysterio was this weird alien grifter con man
No, but
coming
then-
in from another universe.
In the comic books,
Here's it. Let me ask this question: are you familiar with Mysterio from the comics?
No, I mean I know Mysterio is no, I know, but no, I don't follow his comic
Okay.
thread. But my point is, this wasn't the comic thread either. This was a new. They
It's
adjusted
a
it.
movie.
You gotta
It's a
think
new
of it as a
adjustment.
movie, not a
but
comic,
like
yep.
that,
Ellsworth.
for those of us who are the comic book fans, would
Yeah.
understand that he's a performer.
Yes,
And
he's a
he- and
magician.
he's
He is a trickster, and he's like the Riddler, but with more.
Oh no, he was
No,
literally a
no, no.
performer. It's like he
Special
was
effects
he's
too.
a special he did special effects
Right.
and he was performing, and like that to me, that scene was like if you were in a theater group and you're celebrating a masterful
night, yeah.
performance,
Right, but
and then you're gonna
Yes.
give your credit to everybody that's there, and that's a great way to segue because
But
you're
he
gonna watch
wasn't a
all those
performer. He
people.
was like a Tony Stark worker. My
But
point
here's
is,
the
hear
thing,
me out.
is he not a performer?
Hear me out.
He did a wonderful
Why
performance.
couldn't he be a performer, grifter, con man, magician, effects artist from a different universe with technology that justified why it all worked, and then made it this sort of cool thing that opened up the world and would make it believable? And he's like, "Look, this Earth is ripe for the taking. I could be famous here. Nobody knows who I am."
See,
that
It
would've
would have been
worked- that
so
would've
much
been
more
cool, too.
fascinating. It would have opened up the world. It would have justified things, and I was excited that that's where they were going. And then it was like, no, I'm another disgruntled Tony Stark employee. And oh yeah, it's all justified. And oh yeah, we just made these incredibly realistic drones. Like, sure, it was like one of those moments where the MCU again attempted to justify it. It gave us reason, but it's starting to chip away from me because I'm just like, it's just too much. Like, I would have been much more excited about an alien coming in with new technology to
Yeah.
justify it, so I can
That
just
would've
turn
been
my
cool.
brain off and be down, and then it would have just made it more exciting. There would have been some new nuances and different things. I don't know. That bummed me, so that scene wasn't as effective to me. I'm the only one.
No, I agree. Everything you just said, I definitely agree. I was hoping for that. What kind of took me away from I thought he was a great villain, but what kind of took me away was the whole time I was watching, I was like, how are they going to make him a villain? It was kind of like when you watch Paul Walker.
Yeah, it's like,
in-
where are we going with this?
Yeah,
Like,
where are we going
where's
with
the
this?
switch? Where's the
The
switch?
whole
It's
time
coming,
you
it's
know
coming,
he's
it's
a
coming.
villain, but I was just like, how are they going to introduce it? It kind of threw me away from the movie. I wanted to be trapped in the movie, but the whole time I was just like,
You're waiting for the turn.
They're
Yes.
waiting for the turn. This is why I thought that the Vulture was a better villain. We knew he was a villain, but like that twist in the end when they found out that it was the daughter
In the
of
car scene,
the
oh,
car-
still the best
That's
Spider-Man
what made
movie scene,
what made that villain a little bit better. But I still think this was a better story. But like this whole time, like I'm an audience member looking for the twist. That kind of threw me out of the movie a little bit, and I didn't like that.
The twist was a pair of glasses here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair though,
They look good on me.
Like, I think you're you understand Mysterio, right?
Yeah, I
okay,
understand
so
him,
I think
yeah.
I think for us, it would have taken us out of the movie. For example, I was talking to a coworker today who saw Spider-Man yesterday, and he loves the MCU, but he knows nothing about the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him, he had no idea who Mysterio was or whatever, and he loved that twist. Like he had absolutely no idea.
Right, and I think a
it was
lot
so
of people
hard for
did,
me,
yeah.
And it was so hard for me because like we saw it a week before, and I wanted to tell him spoilers, and he's my boss, so I couldn't. But the fun thing is that he had no idea. So for us, like I take that with a grain of salt. Like even during our screening, I said to my wife, like, you know, she didn't know either. She doesn't know nothing about Mysterio either. So she was surprised as well. But I told her after the movie, like, oh, like, you know, this is his character, et cetera, et cetera. So I agree with you. It took me out of the movie for a second because at
we're
some
nerds.
point I'm like, okay, it's we're like
When's
an
ahead?
We're all
hour into
waiting.
this.
Yeah.
How's he gonna
What's
introduce
going to
us
happen?
even
But
in? Yeah.
I disagree with you, Andy, in the sense that I think what they did was clever because although I agree with you in the sense that if they would have made him an alien, it would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't need to do that. They don't need to do that because there's no rush.
Dude, there's no
rush.
But we just made
Wait,
S.W.O.R.D. with
hold on,
intergalactical threats, and
because
we can't have
it's
aliens?
gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen. This aliens, multiverse, it's gonna happen.
Well, we already
Just
got
give it
aliens.
time.
No.
We play Marvel plays the long game. They're not DC. They don't put 5 characters in a movie you never met
Stop.
before.
Dude,
They
wait,
play
hold on,
the long
hold
game.
on.
So
I
I'm
gotta-
just saying.
Shots
I'm just
fired.
saying.
Where's it
They
now?
could have done. They could have done 2 ways. They could have made the alien,
All
or
right,
they
Andrew,
could
I'm
have
calling you
done
out. Here we
with
go.
the
We're going to a
movie.
nerd war.
We're going to nowhere.
So,
Hey,
come on. Wait. You're
Wait,
saying
wait,
they
you're
couldn't have
interrupting
dude, it makes no
Stay out
sense.
of this
The alien part, the alien part would have made it so much more exciting.
I agree with you, but I'm just
I
saying
agree
that they
too.
could have done it 2 ways. They decided to go this left way, which is to make it a disgruntled Tony Stark employee,
Which they've done.
which they've done. However, I think that it's a nice wrap up to Phase 3 because here's the thing: if you're wrapping up Phase 3, you don't want to introduce too much
Hold on. I
for
want to
Phase 4 because
You're
I
moving
feel
into
like
another
this is going
topic.
to be into Phase 4.
save the topic. I wanted to
Okay.
fight you on this
Let's
issue
let
of
Andy
you
talk.
can introduce it later.
Yes,
Dude,
that's my point.
That is what are you talking about? You
Yes.
can't suddenly dangle. Oh yeah, there's a multiverse, and oh yeah, it's all cool, and then suddenly we're gonna no, there's not.
But-
then what? 3 movies in? Oh no, there really is a That's just a lazy writing.
Wait, hold on. I almost
So wait,
forgot-
we're gonna have it at multiverse later now, and we just
Probably,
implied
but
it.
I almost forgot about this. This movie does a very good job of subtly is a word? Like
Subtly.
Subtle.
they
Yeah,
make
anyway,
a
we
subtle
know-
commentary of real world events in terms of like people believe whatever they want now. We have this Alex Jones character at the end with J. Jonah Jameson. Mysterio is essentially like they basically touch on fake news essentially.
Okay.
And Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio says like, yeah, he gave credit to the guy who came up with the story, like because that's what everyone is gonna like, because that's what's happening with
But
Thanos. Everyone can believe this.
He
like,
still could have done that.
It made so much sense, and it also was like a subtle jab of like what's going on in the world today.
Yeah, but
and
imagine
for me, I love
imagine
that.
an alien coming out from the outside the world and watching today's media. and
Okay,
being
yeah,
like,
my 12-year-old
Oh my God, we found these dumb Earthlings. They believe everything they read online. Oh my God, this Tony Stark guy was a huge. He could have been 10 levels ahead
No,
of
but I
Mysterio,
disagree
and
because
I
I
would have
think-
bought it. And he would have been a performer.
I
He would
think
have
it would
bought
have
it.
been, what's that phrase? Knock over your head with that. I think this was more
Not,
subtle.
how was it not knock over your head? That scene where he's like, "You created that thing. Let's cut to it right now so the audience remembers." Oh, and we also took this device. That's blah blah. It was literally hitting us over the head with plot exposition.
Sure, but with exposition, sure, but not like but being an alien, it would have been so. What's the
Yes. What is the word?
Go ahead, make another word up.
I think unearned, maybe, because I think this was a clever way.
It wasn't clever. They did it
was
already
very-
in Spider-Man
Because this alien
Homecoming.
thing would have been an easy way to write things. Because it's an alien. I have all the rules. He's an alien. I can do whatever
Dude,
the hell I want.
we're
But the
coming-
fact
hold
that
on.
they retconned it so that it fits in the MCU already existing sandbox.
I
think it was more clever finesse.
No.
And I think that, and then as a writing, I'm not a writer, but from a writing standpoint, I think you got to give him more kudos for that.
No, it was. Look,
No,
someone
he
sat
says.
Someone sat in the room and figured out. Okay, well, there was a bunch of people who were angry to start. But my point is, that's lazy writing because they just did it with. They literally
Sure,
reshot
yeah,
scenes
yeah.
from
But all
Avengers.
movies
Hold
are
on,
funny.
I let you finish. Let me finish.
Woo!
Kanye, Jesus. They just did it with Vulture and they reshot scenes from
talk.
Avengers.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
literally the same thing they did. They have never had some alien come out of a multiverse, and after Endgame, they actually wrote themselves into an interesting spot that would have justified some of the atrocious, nonsensical bullshit from Endgame, which is Captain America went back and put the stones back exactly before everything happened to keep the timelines in place. Come on, it makes no friggin' sense. The MCU is now a complete mess because of Endgame.
do not
If
talk
you're gonna
about
go
bad
there,
about Captain
it makes,
America.
but it makes no friggin' sense if they had introduced and split off into multiverses and multi timelines everything would have made more sense. We would have been in a new
I agree.
timeline. Everything. J. Jonah Jameson popping up makes things interesting. He could have been from that's the J. Jameson in our timeline too. Everything
No, I
becomes
agree.
more sensical.
So-
Everything opens up to the new cinema. What are they calling it? The Marvel multiverse?
Yeah.
Cinematic multiverse is what they were going to call it. It just everything with now Eternals coming with S.W.O.R.D. It all would have made so much more sense than that weird cop out of no. Let's make him another ex-Tony Stark employee. Lazy, boring, and unoriginal.
Okay,
Yeah,
on this.
Spider-Man's all his.
Unoriginal maybe, but not.
All right, we said
not
enough. What do you
boring.
guys think? Let's go to your
I was,
side.
I was agreeing. Like I said this in actually my review at the Controversy. I do not think that Spider-Man's villains should all be like all these people that are pissed off at Tony Stark. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. It would have been a better.
And an
way
alien
to-
would have been cool.
I think it
Exactly.
would have been a good way to introduce the multiverse, having him be an alien. Like, oh crap, that's so yeah. I would
Slide in a bit more. You're on the edge of your frame. Sorry, I know it's tight in here. All right, well, this is long. We're going crazy. Any other major moments
Did
or
you have
more
a point?
things
All right.
that we want to talk about? Andrew and I have taken up a lot of time.
So, first of all, on that Andy War, I'm gonna say
Who won, Adon?
I'm actually say he won me over. I'm sorry, his argument was better. It was.
No,
Actually-
I think it's not there yet. They're playing.
It's over. It's over. You
You
lost.
lost the war. I'm sorry. The war is a
But I
goal.
still love you.
You're a casualty. Basically,
Did you say casual bitch?
no casualty.
Casualty.
Oh,
Come on, man.
Don't be so
Like,
sensitive.
anyway.
Don't be a sore loser.
Anyways,
Adon, go ahead.
one of the moments I really enjoyed actually was him as Peter Parker. Like I enjoyed him trying
trying to be Peter Parker.
to be Peter Parker like on the trip, and then was his Brad or the one Asian kid?
Yeah, the
one trying to take his girlfriend?
Oh,
Yeah,
The guy was like
It's not
43 years
the one
old.
moment. It's just the little integrate parts with him just showing up, and he's like, like
Sitting next to him.
he's
in the
like
airplane.
he's like it's like he's right next to her, and he's like, "Do you want us to terminate him?" I'm like, "Yeah, just fucking terminate him." It's like it knows it
Love
by
that
accident, but that shit like he was like, "Yeah,
was
do
high
it."
school
He's
as a
like, "Just
kid.
do it." He's
Yeah.
gonna blow my shit up right now.
Remember the
Bus
bus
scene.
scene?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, that's
Love that
that's
scene.
where I clocked out.
What?
No, this is where I clocked out because I thought like I was getting impatient. I was just like, okay, this is fun. This is a fun scene, but I was like, let's get to the real shit.
Let's get
I
to
need-
Spider-Man.
I want to know what's going on with Mysterio. When is this motherfucker gonna turn? I was like, I want Spider. What is this? Like, this is cute, but like, not that cute. Like, this is like just a.
No,
I
what
feel
was-
like I felt like
Well,
I saw that scene.
What was
before.
cute was Ned. Ned was cute.
Oh no, Ned was hilarious.
I hated Ned.
Although-
yes.
No, wait,
Oh,
Because it
everyone
reminds you of
shush.
that ex-girl.
Bad writing,
Hold on.
but like the
That
first
was-
3 jokes were good. Then after
I-
the same joke, it diminishing returns. The law of
Yeah,
diminishing
I
returns.
was gonna say I'm agreeing with you. I was trying to help you. I think the kid stuff got really overdone.
Yes.
It became very boring. But the moment with Steve or whatever, what was his name, Brad, the hot guy who was hitting on MJ was the only moment I was like, all right, this fits for me and I like it. But with Ned and his girlfriend
Overdid
and
it, yeah.
and Tony Revolori, as I forget his name, but he was so underused, and then it just became the
Yeah.
same jokes over and over again. Like I was so done with his friends, and I wanted to move on. I was way more into Mysterio, Nick
I
Fury
agree.
subplot,
I agree.
and I didn't mind the MJ Peter part, and I wish
Great
almost
stuff.
the two of them had just gone.
Yes.
But I know I'm nitpicking now, and this is too much, but we're all nerding out. That's what this show's for. I was just annoyed that really all 5 friends went through the blip without any trouble. Like, wouldn't it have been more
my
interesting
God,
if
Andy,
wouldn't it have
chill.
been more interesting if Ned had grown up and the other ones hadn't, and he like came back to repeat the year? It all just started feeling a little too convenient.
Well, that
for
was
me.
the whole,
and seeing the
CGI
kids and,
Ned?
and the
Like-
teachers it was all so silly and dumb, and it started being it became.
Hey,
Well,
aggravating.
that's
I guess
what
I'm not old
the
man.
Watch your
one
mouth with
pretty
those
boy,
features. Those features
he was the one that
great
grew up.
lines.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
them should have grown. Who grew up?
The pretty boy, the one
Oh,
that
he
like,
was the one who grew up.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
realize
yeah,
they
you're
show
right.
him at the
They did say
beginning,
that.
like they show him as a little kid,
Yeah,
and they
all
show
right,
him like
I
5
did
years
do
younger. But like,
He still looked the same, but yeah.
but I mean, the other thing, oh shoot, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Thank you, bro.
Okay, I'll say one thing before we go.
Yeah, wrapping up final thoughts.
And I want to just say one thing about the first end credit scene about J. Jonah Jameson. I think this is a very good introduction to like everybody knowing that he's Spider-Man is going to introduce a lot of these villains that are like, okay, Mary Jane's or MJ's not safe, and his aunt's
May,
not safe.
yeah.
Aunt May's not safe. So this might introduce, because I know Sony's been wanting to do the Sinister Six. They might all attack his family and his friends and him, and this might be the best way to introduce that. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it.
That'd be cool.
Zaid,
Oh,
any
No,
thoughts?
no.
Any other spoilers or thoughts?
I got nothing right now. Right now, when he
No,
says
wait,
Sinister
wait,
Six,
wait,
You're
wait.
excited.
Hold on.
froze.
Do we want
let's-
Venom and anybody else to show
No,
up?
I
don't
Let's
care
break down
about
that
that
theory.
as
Hold
much
on,
people
hold on.
do.
Let's
Like-
Carnage,
can I
maybe?
destroy your theory real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, so
Go ahead, try.
you're saying for Spider-Man 3, you want Sinister Six? Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying, but I think that's what
opens
they're
up
going.
the door for
okay.
Sinister
Like,
Six.
Spider-Man 5, yes, but like not 3.
They
I'm
already
just
hinted
saying
at it
that
in the
he's
first one.
vulnerable right
I
now
understand.
because of his reveal. Like he's not
Sure,
safe.
sure, but, like,
you know
it'd
that
be too
Scorpion's
soon.
in jail right now. That's
Marvel,
looking for
Marvel
his.
and Sony,
Yeah, but
they're not doing DC.
Vulture already knew who he was.
Yeah,
Vulture
but-
could
yeah.
easily blown
A
the
lot of
cover.
these
A
villains
lot of
wanna
these villains
know
know
who
he
he
was.
was.
And I don't know. I mean, why did we need to reveal his cover so fast? Like, I didn't need
He's like
it.
the only one that has
So-
the aliens
cliffhanger.
anyway. That's kind of
Cliffhanger.
weird too. Like,
That's
Yeah.
a good cliffhanger.
Here's my
I mean, he's the
thing.
only one that I can even buy has an alias that would have trouble because he is like a kid in a suit. Like you
Yeah.
really would have no clue who it is unless someone's close to him. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I was intrigued, but I didn't need it, and I'm curious where it goes. Do we think Mysterio is dead?
No,
No,
he's not
absolutely
dead.
not.
I'm on the fence. I don't know.
There's no way
No,
he's dead.
fuck
Maybe.
no.
See,
You
no.
don't.
We
you
don't need more Mysterio,
No,
though.
listen.
Like,
you don't
he's-
sign. You don't get an actor of the caliber of Jake Gyllenhaal for one fucking movie. Or
might
a
be
second
the only
movie.
reason he did it.
You obviously have not seen the
Marvel
MCU.
has
Or
so many
a
good
second
actors.
movie-
Like,
or
come
a
on,
second
man.
movie.
Robert Redford did one movie.
Exactly. What kind of
Really?
two?
Yeah.
Robert Redford is not in his prime. This is Robert Redford as an old man.
Okay, you think
Chill,
Michael
chill
Keaton's
out.
coming back?
Chill the
Robert
F out.
Redford
What was
doesn't
that about
work as
Wakanda?
much as Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake
That's my
Gyllenhaal may
point.
not have wanted to do this movie unless he only did one. He might have been like, I can't deal with your
Killmonger?
contract.
I don't know, I
Spider-Man
don't
has
think
so
so.
many villains. We don't need to keep it on Mysterio.
Wait,
Come
you're
on.
already killing your theory. So if there's gonna be Sinister Six, Mysterio's gotta be there, baby.
It doesn't have to be Mysterio. You can do
What'd I
anything.
say?
Sinister Sticks.
I don't want
Whatever.
to.
We don't have to keep it. Like,
Okay.
you know, Captain
I'm
America was
sorry,
an
but
original Avenger. They can
he's
switch
gotta
anything
be
up they
alive.
want.
He's gotta be. I hope
So-
he is. 'Cause
I
Jake
just
is so
don't want
good.
Harry Osborn back. I'm so done with the Osborn movies, but
And
I
I
know
think
you
that's
have
why.
to bring him.
Yeah, he's not here.
But
so
this
that's
is
good.
where it gets good because I like your idea with the Sinister Six, and I mentioned
Sinister
it.
Sticks.
Yes, I'm gonna stick with that. The sticks.
Sinister Sticks.
Okay, so but here's where I was telling you earlier. I'm a fan of the Ultimate series, like for Spider-Man.
too.
And there's a
I'm
lot
a
of
big
people
fan.
that hate the Ultimate series, but Spider-Man Ultimates was great. They're not gonna do it because it gets dark. But what happens is they reveal his identity, and all the villains are going after him.
I
And
agree.
then
I think that's where they're going.
That's a great way to bring in the Sinister Six.
Exactly.
And then that's how they do it in the comics. And then at one point, spoilers for those who don't know, he gets shot in the gut trying to protect another hero, Captain America, because it was an integrated universe. And at that moment, he realizes that they're actually going after Aunt May. And Mary Jane's with Aunt May. So he goes and, with a gut wound, by the way, he goes in, fights all the Sinister Six, beats down the Green Goblin, who at that time was like a monster, lizard kind of guy. And they ended up fighting to the death. And in the middle of the street, in front of people. And in his Aunt May's arms, as he's dying, he's with tears in his eyes, but with a smile. He says, I couldn't save him, but I saved you. And that's his last words. And you see in the crowd of the people, Miles Morales. And in the comic, that is the moment that Miles Morales decides he's going to take up the mantle of Spider-Man. He already had powers. Spider-Man had been around for a while. He just didn't want that pressure and that, that responsibility.
That'd be dope.
And that was the moment that changed that.
Yeah,
They're
well,
not going to do it.
They're not killing him in this
They're not
next
going to.
movie.
No,
Yeah, they're not.
He's in
They're
the
not going to
long
do
run.
After another
it. But
10
I would
years.
love to see something along that lines because that will also give a great moment to show more character building for Tom Holland. Mm-hmm. Like he could do it.
It'd be
If
a
they're
lot
doing
more.
another
and
10
the-
years of cinematic universe like they did with Tony Stark, I could see that in the next 10 years like they did with Tony
I
Stark.
want to end there.
Well, then Tom
Did
Holland
we-
will be 31. He ain't gonna
hold on. Do we like that he's now the new Iron Man? Do we actually believe that? Do we worry that? Because let me say what I worry. I worry Sony controls this.
Yeah.
Marvel doesn't. The Marvel has to agree for them
It's
to
on
do
lease,
it.
yeah.
But they can keep Tom Holland and keep making Spider-Mans and sort of imply that he's there. But I don't know. I'm a little worrisome too of just like, really, he's now Iron Man? That's pretty important for the MCU to have him show up a lot and be available and be there. Does anyone else have any concern about that? Zaid?
I, in the back of my mind, I'm praying that Tony comes back somehow. I don't know how. I need him back. He needs to come back. I don't think he should pass it off to.
I think they're going to figure out a way to force ghost him.
Well, who
He's
else
gonna
is
come
going to
back in
hold
some
the universe
form
They
as
together?
did
like
it in the
a-
comics. They
Yeah,
had him
yeah,
as
yeah,
a
they
Force
have
Ghost
to.
kind of
That's done in
character.
the
Like
comic.
it's
But
an
I will
AI.
say this from a story standpoint. No, I don't have a problem because as I tried to mention earlier, Elseworlds. We have the comics, we have something else. But from a business standpoint, yes, as you said about Sony and like, they have isn't it right that they have a 3-picture deal? So after Spider-Man 3, it goes back to Sony, or they have to renegotiate.
Yeah, I don't know the
whatever,
deals. I'm
and
sure-
Blah, 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 and then
negotiations.
I'm sure we will learn at San
Hardy's
Diego
gonna be in
Comic
it
Con. Comics.
with Venom and stuff. So.
San Diego Comic Con will reveal all of that, so we'll know soon. We're speculating until then, but
Okay.
yes, he has deals, and I'm sure if we'll know once because we don't know what movie's next.
But the
they
thing
haven't
is-
even
but-
announced
Yeah.
what the next MCU
but
movie
let's
is.
speculate though. If you're
Probably Black
Sony, what?
Venom did well
What
for
idiot-
Sony, and
okay,
Spider Verse
yeah,
did well for Sony.
I
So
understand
Sony's
that.
actually in a much better bargaining chip than they were before.
They're doing
This
better.
is true.
Yeah.
However, what idiot would have to sign off of saying, "Oh, buy Spider-Man with Marvel"? Like that's a cash cow. Why would you?
Well,
why
they have
would
to
you-
share the cash with Marvel.
Yeah, I understand
If
that,
they
but
could
it's
do
still
it-
a cash
what,
cow.
you
More
seem
than-
like you understand it all. So what are you asking me? What's your
No,
question?
because from the other two previous iterations of Spider-Man,
Sony
they were
was
fucking it up.
exactly, and they signed up with Marvel, and now they
Now
don't
they're
need
never-
Marvel because they've made a Spider-Man that people like, and they have Venom, which people like, and they have Spider-Verse that people like. They do not need to pay half their paycheck now, which they did prior because Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man sucked.
Well,
so
I
Sony
think-
does
I think
not
I
need
think it's
to
jumping
give
the gun
in
too early.
to Marvel now. So I'm not trying to be mean, but like you don't
No,
understand because Sony will
number
now
one,
potentially.
Spider-Verse is animated film. Number one, lower budget. Number two, Venom is a completely different property. They haven't proved. They haven't. For me as a fan, they haven't done their due diligence with the Spider-Man character as a franchise by their own. Marvel's steadied that shit.
They did.
Marvel's running
They
that
have
shit.
a movie called Spider-Verse where they could literally hit a button and put Tom Holland in that version with Miles
Exactly.
Morales
And-
and with Venom.
Story-wise,
And
awesome.
Spider-Verse is
people have said,
fantastic.
People have said
love
that,
that would be
Just because you do
the
one doesn't
director.
mean you can
Hold,
keep
I'm
going.
trying to talk, man. The director of Far From Home has said he would love to see Tom Holland go up against Venom. So you're wrong. They are able, and now they have a negotiating power where they could completely say to Marvel, we don't need it. And now I understand you and me and the people at this room are going to be like, Sony sucks, screw them. But the regular ticket-going audience isn't going to know the difference. They don't really follow the politics of which studio owns which character. It's just a very niche nerd crowd. So I do worry, and we won't know. It'll be interesting to see when Comic-Con comes out, because if they announce the next new movies or another Spider-Man or something, we'll know they must be negotiating something. But Sony could completely turn on us and completely say, we don't need Marvel anymore. We just figured out Tony Stark's dead. We got to build our own universe. Nick Fury's going off and doing S.W.O.R.D.
Yeah, but they've
Who
tried
cares?
that.
We got Spider-Man. We're going to go start doing our own little thing, and they could do it. And people will assume they're still going to have a Marvel logo on it because Marvel owns the character. People will think it's part of the MCU. They just won't mention certain characters, and then they're going to start going off and they could screw it all up. So to have him be Iron Man worries me because he's not controlled by Marvel. He's controlled by Sony. So I don't know. Marvel put a lot of chips in him as sort of that is an imperatively important chapter in the MCU to not then have control of him later. So it's very odd to me where things are going. But anyway, we are so long on this, and I want to wrap this up because if I do a 2-hour Spider-Man spoiler video, no one's going to sit through this far. If you did, make a comment that said, I made it all the way, and I will figure out a way to give you something special. But I want to wrap. Last final thoughts. Any other big spoiler questions? S.W.O.R.D. Are we excited where that direction is going?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. What you got?
Absolutely,
Yep.
man. Marvel said they want to do the cosmic stuff, so this is a great way to introduce it. It started off small with Shield, and it's gonna go big with S.W.O.R.D.
I had same want to say the same thing, but my thing was I hope they give us a little more gap. To me, I think that they're just feeding us so many films right back to back that we don't get to cherish the one that we saw, because I remember waiting oh man, just give me a beat before I had to see they were dropping them back to back that we couldn't really enjoy Spider-Man or really enjoy the ones that are coming up. So I'm hoping they give us a nice break.
Yeah.
Give us another year before we see
You're
it.
gonna get New Mutants before you get the next one, so there's your break.
New Mutants ain't coming out, bro.
I think they have to. They're gonna. But yeah, anyway, all right. So there we had it. I think the review is still. I like it. I think we all
good.
like it. Yes,
We
all
agree, we
thumbs
like
up
it.
for this film.
Yeah,
Where does
yeah,
it stand on your overall films? Real quick.
It's up there. It doesn't beat 2 though to me.
Second best, I still think Spider-Verse
Live
is
action,
better.
but of live action movies,
it's my favorite. I said it.
wow.
Whoa.
I said it.
It's not my top 10.
Not
about
even
your top 10.
It's not even
Nah.
10 movies.
No, I'm talking about the MCU movie.
No,
Oh,
Spider-Man live
oh,
action.
oh,
movies.
oh.
Like, wow.
My bad.
Math.
Of all the live action Spider-Man movies, where would you
Oh,
put
There's
it?
only 8.
Is it 8? I would
3
say I
and
would
2
put
and
it
1, 5. Right?
I would put it in the 3rd.
Okay, Andrew.
No, it's behind Spider-Man 2 for me.
Okay, but you put Spider-Man 2 ahead of it too?
I actually would.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I
So
think
you got third, you got
most
second.
except for Ian,
Number
we all
one,
still
baby.
think Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is the best.
Six.
Yeah.
Okay, and I definitely think that.
I mean, that
Spider-Verse is the best though of all time.
And then that scene about
agree with that.
Spider-Verse is
100%,
absolutely
yeah.
the greatest.
Well, there you have it. Where does it stand in your roster? Tell us in the comments below. Thank you so much for sticking through and watching this epic long spoiler video. There's so much to talk about in this movie, and I'm excited we finally got to unleash our spoilers. So thank you. Stay tuned for more. Happy 4th of July, and we will see you next time. Bye. Woo.